It's not just Canada. The US is waging war on other allies too, in Europe and NATO. This story is about Greenland. It's a semi-autonomous region that belongs to Denmark. Donald Trump wants to take it, and he's quite serious about it. But you already know this. We are talking about it again because Greenland has some unwelcome visitors today. US Vice President JD Vance, along with his wife and Second Lady Usha Vance. Earlier, she was supposed to go there alone, on her own. The Americans pitched it as a cultural tour where Usha Vance would attend local events. But now, Vice President JD Vance is tagging along, and this has dramatically changed the itinerary. It's now a one-day visit. They will be back home tonight. There will be no cultural events or exchanges, just a visit to a remote military base, a US Space Force outpost in Greenland. That's what JD Vance is visiting. With him are top officials from Washington, Mike Waltz, the US National Security Advisor, Chris Wright, the US Secretary for Energy, or the American Energy Minister, and Senator Mike Lee of the Republican Party. So this is a high-level delegation with a clear military overtone. Needless to say, the people of Greenland are not thrilled. They are protesting. So is the government of Denmark. The Danish foreign minister issued a statement. He said no government officials from Denmark would meet JD Vance. And here's what the Danish prime minister said.
Greenland belongs to the Greenlandic people, and Greenland is part of the Danish kingdom, and that is not going to change.
Like I said, Greenland is a semi-autonomous region. It is still part of the Danish kingdom, and that is why Denmark has lodged a strong protest. It insists that Greenland's status will not change. But Donald Trump does not care. He says the US needs Greenland.
How far are you prepared to go on Greenland? You said this morning that the United States needs Greenland.
We need Greenland for national security and international security. So I think we'll go as far as we have to go. We need Greenland, and the world needs us to have Greenland, including Denmark. Denmark has to have us have Greenland. And, we'll see what happens. But if we don't have Greenland, we can't have great international security.
It started as a joke, then sounded like Trump's obsession. But now the plan to annex Greenland is part of US foreign policy. JD Vance's visit sends a loud and clear message. The US under Donald Trump is very serious about taking Greenland. And the Russians are watching this closely. President Vladimir Putin says it would be folly to think that Trump is not serious.
Everybody knows very well about the US plans to take over Greenland, though it can be surprising only at first sight. It's a huge mistake to think that it is just extravagant talk of the new US administration. Not even close. In fact, the US had such plans as far back as in 1860s. Even back then, the US administration thought about possibility of Greenland and Iceland annexation. But that idea was not supported by the US Congress.
He's talking about the past. When the US tried to purchase Greenland, he suggested that Washington will step up its campaign and use Greenland to project influence over the wider Arctic, which could be the next battleground, the Arctic. The Russians are deeply interested in this region for two reasons. The first is trade. It could open up new shipping routes. Global warming is melting ice in the Arctic. It is opening up shipping routes, connecting Europe, Russia, and North America, reducing travel time and saving cost. So Russia wants to secure its presence along those paths. It wants to control the Arctic sea lanes. That is reason number one. The second is Greenland's mineral wealth. It has rich and untapped reserves of oil and gas. The Americans want them, so do the Russians. Which is why Putin wants to, quote-unquote, strengthen Russia's leadership in the Arctic. That's how he put it. He has launched a new submarine. It is called Perm. This is a nuclear-powered sub, heavily armed with hypersonic missiles that can travel faster than sound and are difficult to intercept. This sub is extremely suitable for operations in the Arctic. Putin also inspected other submarines this week, plus some icebreaker facilities. Clearly, he's responding to America's moves in the region. Trump's interest in Greenland has kicked off a storm. The Arctic is becoming increasingly militarized. Both the US and Russia are expanding their presence, and Greenland could be caught in the middle.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste. No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.